Mistake number 21 is making offers. You've heard me say several times already, I don't make offers. And let's go back to the scripts. Ask questions, and I answer sellers' questions with questions. And I don't get off track doing a seminar, which is very easy to do. I don't let the seller take control of the conversation. It's very easy to bring them back to get your 3 questions answered. And I don't let them put me on the defensive trying to excuse myself for something they said. I got an answer for anything they could say, and that is all in your materials, by the way, and then even on your Gold Club site. And there's only a handful of things that people can say because it's the same stuff over and over and over and over again. And once you master handling those questions, you're going to feel real confident on the phone. And when you feel real confident on the phone, you're not worried about, they might ask me something I don't know the answer to. You're probably going to come to the conclusion you actually enjoy making these phone calls. When you learn to ask questions, answer questions with questions, and there's nothing they can ask you that you can't answer, you have nothing to fear anymore because you can handle anything they happen to say. There is not a question a seller could ask me that I can't answer. There's not an objection they may come up with that I can't quickly put down. And that only comes from practice. And we start by actually putting the questions in front of us so we can practice on those. And then as we get on the phone and we start calling sellers, if they ask you anything, well, I'm going to write that one down. Next time I'll be prepared for that one. And I promise you, when you spend the time mastering the closing call, which is really no different than mastering any conversation on anything, you ask questions, you answer questions with questions. And in your case, your questions are going to pertain to their house. I mean, it could just as easily pertain to their car or their boat or their RV or whatever it is you're buying. So this skill that you're learning will apply to you through the rest of your life, both inside and outside of real estate. And all it really is become a better communicator with people and talk less, listen more. If you remember my $1 million scripts, what was the questions? If we could agree upon terms, what's the least you could take? And then the big 7 word question, is that the best you can do? Is that the best you can do should be on the top of your mind every time somebody makes you an offer for the rest of your life. And then you shut up after you say it. If you say, is that the best you can do, like you really mean it, you're going to be shocked at how many times they will come back and take less than you're willing to pay, or pay more than you're willing to accept when you're selling the houses. These questions go beyond. In fact, I'm going to put a bunch of them up here in a minute. They go beyond just buying a house. So answer questions with questions and answer their answers with questions, and watch what happens. I dare you. Here's something. Here's a few. Wouldn't you agree? Does that make sense? Is that fair? Okay. I usually buy with nothing down. Okay. Ain't that a question? It's a question. So you're saying if I don't give you blank, you won't sell me the house? It's another question. Was that the best you can do? The big one. And what would be your second choice? I love that one. I made that one up. What's the least you'll take down? Oh, 50 grand. Okay, well, what would be your second choice? And everybody chuckles. And they'll come down. Watch, they'll come down. And then you're going to come back and say, well, listen, we usually buy with nothing down. And how close to nothing can you get? And you watch how far they come down. I've had them come down many times, from a high number to a very low number, and sometimes from a high number to 0. We usually buy with nothing down. How close to nothing can you get? If I give you blank, will you give me blank? If I give you your price, will you lower my payment, whatever it is you want? And then they want to, you're talking about the term. I tell you right now, if you write these words down, these are the exact words I use. These are the words that work. Okay? These are the words that are proven many, many, many times. You're going to hear a lot of these words in the live boot camp when they're talking to live sellers. So seller wants a short term. Well, some sellers give me 30 years, some less. What's the most you can give me? And they give you a number. Well, I'll go up to 3 years. Oh my goodness. I haven't done one in less than 10 years since I can remember. You can at least give me 10 years, can't you? And that's how you get what you want. And by the way, I don't want you to kill a deal because of the term. So let's say you got a pretty house in a pretty neighborhood, and you've negotiated about $20,000 or more below the top retail value, and you've negotiated little or nothing down, but the seller insists on a 2-year term. And it's good, reasonable monthly payment. You can get $500-$600 or more positive cash flow. All right. Be careful that you don't think like this. Well, I heard Ron saying in the class that we don't do 2-year balloons. Well, you did, but Ron didn't have the privilege of analyzing the numbers behind the deal you're about to turn down. So let's assume that we are giving the seller a very small down payment, and we know darn well we can get $30,000-$40,000 back on non-refundable deposit. Okay, so are you really ready to walk away from $30,000 or $40,000 deposit just because of the 2-year term? Instead, you should be asking yourself, well, what's the worst can happen if I haven't paid the seller off in 2 years? And here's the answer, folks. Here's the answer to the question I haven't heard yet. The seller has 2 choices. Number 1, they can extend the term. Or number 2, they'll tell you they want the house back. If they want the house back, give them the house back. They don't have to foreclose on it. You didn't pay them off when you said, give them the house back. Of course, they're going to pay the closing costs to get it back. Now you're thinking, well, what about that tenant buyer in there? Well, it's that tenant buyer that I gave 2 years on a term that hasn't bought yet. So their agreement is null and void. They don't buy. So I just have to tell them seller wants a house back. And I'll leave it up to seller if you want this tenant. If they want to stay, case by case. But I don't lay awake at night worrying about what's going to happen if I don't pay off the balloon when I say I am going to pay it off. Worst case, you get the house back. I'm telling you right now, they ain't going to want the house back. Well, they might, but if they want it, they want it. What have I lost? I already got $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 down. I got the spread every single month. I got the depreciation in the 2 years that I held it. I didn't get appreciation because I didn't sell it, but I got paid well for handling that deal. And by the way, let's say the seller wants a 5-year balloon, and their question is, well, how do I know you're going to pay me off within 5 years? My answer is, well, John, let's see. In 5 years from now, this house will be worth a lot more than it is now. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah. And, the debt will be paid way down by then, right? Okay. Well, John, I can make you a case. The best thing can happen to you in 5 years is that I don't pay you off. Wouldn't you agree? And, where are they going to go from there? This is the best thing could happen to them. That I don't pay them off because they'll make a lot more money if I give them the house back. All right. So the things we worry about. What comes out of your mouth will determine what goes into your bank account. That is worthy of a writer downer right there, because it's true. The better you get at words, the more you're going to get out of life, anything and everything you discussed. When you start taking control of your conversations and quit doing all those 14 things that people are guilty of, you'll see that you'll get a lot more of what you want. Your conversations are going to go a lot better, and you're going to be so much more proud of yourself because you weren't a bumbling idiot. And, and actually people who enjoy doing business with you because they don't pick up the fact that you're asking the questions and they're making you the offer. But that's the way it should always be. I don't care if you're going into Zales and buying a diamond ring. I love this diamond ring, but I can't pay what you're asking. What's the least you could take for it? What's the best you can do? And then she's behind the counter. I'll come down 10%. Well, you're heading in the right direction. Okay. What's the least you can do? Watch how fast they'll negotiate. By the way, if they don't negotiate with you, that's probably not the place to buy the diamond ring. because they're intimidating you into believing that that's the price and they're not going to come down. There is no jewelry that isn't marked up, ridiculous markups. They got plenty of room to play, no matter what they tell you. You'll hear quite often, well, that's what I got in it. I don't say it, but I'm thinking, liar, liar.